Prime Minister Imran Khan chairs the first session of the Council of Common Interest. Chief Ministers apprise the Council of recommendations and issues. Prime Minister Khan assures the Chief Ministers that the provinces would be taken into confidence on all important national matters. The Prime Minister also takes the Council into confidence on the new local government system and comprehensive reforms. The Chief Justice of Pakistan orders that Omni Group Chairman Anwar Majid, his son Abdul Ghani Majid and former Pakistan Stock Exchange Chairman Hussain Lawai be moved from hospital to jail in view of medical reports received with regard to them. Federal Investigation Agency Additional Director General tells the Supreme Court that a joint investigation team formed to investigate the fake bank accounts case has uncovered 33 more suspicious accounts. He says 334 people are suspected of involvement in the scam. He says the fake accounts are linked to 210 companies. The Supreme Court reserves judgment on a suo motu hearing regarding dual citizenship among government officials. The Chief Justice remarks that the government has the authority to formulate policies. Justice Saqib Nisar also remarks that a civil service ban would be consistent with a similar ban on parliamentarians. The Lahore High Court summons Nawaz Sharif on October 8 in high treason case against the deposed Prime Minister. Justice Naqvi orders Nawaz to appear before the court in person at the next hearing and issues non-bailable arrest warrants for journalist Cyril Almeida. Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi says Pakistan wants relations with the United States based on mutual respect and mutual interest. Qureshi says India had cancelled the proposed meeting between the foreign ministers to divert attention from its internal problems. Thousands of anti-Brexit protesters rally in Liverpool to call for a second EU referendum as the opposition Labour Party's annual conference convened. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu says Moscow will supply an S-300 surface-to-air missile system to Syria in 2 weeks against strong Israeli objections, a week after Moscow blamed Israel for indirectly causing the downing of Russian military plane in Syria. The Indian Meteorological Department issues a yellow alert all over the southern state of Kerala with heavy rains expected over the next 4 days. Director of Meteorological Department Santosh says district authorities instructed to remain on high alert and take necessary precautionary measures. Maldives President Abdullah Yameen concedes defeat to opposition candidate Ibrahim Mohammed Soh in a televised address to the island nation.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. You're watching 92 News HD UK. My name is Muhammad Yasir Rizwan.
And my name is Faik Mahmood. Starting off with the top story today, Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi said on Monday Pakistan wanted its relations with the United States to be based on mutual respect and mutual interests.
Qureshi said the Indian government had cancelled a meeting between the foreign ministers to divert attention from its domestic problems. More in this report.
Speaking to the media at the Pakistan Embassy in Washington, the minister said he was meeting US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo on October 2 for a reset in ties. The foreign minister is in the US to participate in the UN General Assembly session. He will meet Pompeo as well as diplomats from several countries on the sidelines of the assembly.
हमने तो ख्वाहिश जाहिर की कि दो हमसाए हैं और वो हमसाए एतराफ करते हैं कि हमारे आउटस्टैंडिंग इश्यूज हैं, मुनासिब और माकूल तो वाहिद रास्ता है गुफ्तगू शुनीद का। मैं समझता हूँ कि मकामी सियासी वजूहात उनके आड़े आए या कुछ ऐसे इश्यूज वहाँ जन्म ले रहे हैं जिनसे तवज्जो हटाने के लिए शायद उन्हें एक नई अप्रोच adopt करनी पड़ी।
Qureshi will also address the 73rd session of the UNGA, which opened on September 18. Responding to a question on the impact of China-Pakistan economic corridor on US relations, he said that Pakistan will engage both the US and China. China is important for Pakistan. Our friendship with the United States is equally important. We will engage both of them, he said.
कभी जारहाना रवैया न था न है, लेकिन इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि हम किसी जारहाना अज़ाइम का मुकाबला करने की सलाहियत नहीं रखते।
Qureshi said the Indian government had cancelled the proposed meeting between the foreign ministers to divert attention from its domestic problems. He said Pakistan wanted peace in the region.
A Federal Investigation Agency Additional Director General told the Supreme Court on Monday a joint investigation team formed to investigate the fake bank accounts case had uncovered 33 more suspicious accounts. He said 334 people were suspected of involvement in the scam. He said the fake accounts were linked to 210 companies.
Ehsan Sadiq of the Economic Crime Wing said the investigation team formed by the Supreme Court to investigate an ongoing ₹35 billion money laundering case had uncovered 33 more suspicious accounts. He also submitted the first progress report of the team in a sealed envelope. A three-judge bench headed by the Chief Justice of Pakistan is hearing the case. Sadiq, who is heading the JIT, said steps were being taken to bring back the suspects of the country. He said the team was in contact with National Accountability Bureau, the Federal Board of Revenue, the Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan and the State Bank of Pakistan. Justice Nisar wanted to know whether the team had found evidence showing that money had been sent abroad using boats. The JIT had said it had not. The Chief Justice remarked that Omni Group accountant Arif Khan had a central role in the crime. The JIT had said he was not aware of Arif's whereabouts. The hearing was adjourned for 10 days.
The Chief Justice of Pakistan on Monday ordered that Omni Group Chairman Anwar Majid, his son Abdul Ghani Majid and former Pakistan Stock Exchange Chairman Hussain Lawai be moved from hospital to jail in view of medical reports received with regard to them.
On September 17, the court had heard Federal Investigation Agency's petition against Anwar and his son Abdul Ghani's hospitalization. The court had then formed a committee under the Surgeon General of Pakistan to examine the prisoners. Additional Attorney General submitted the medical reports. Majid, his son and Lawai, who have been arrested on suspicion of money laundering using fictitious bank accounts. The Additional Attorney General informed the court that the medical board had said that Anwar and Abdul Ghani Majid could be shifted to the jail. The report also said he told the court that the Omni Group chairman could be interrogated. The Chief Justice ordered the Omni Group to pay the expenses of the joint investigation team formed to look into the fake bank accounts. The counsel for Omni Group said the assets and bank accounts of his clients were frozen. The court directed the trial court not to unfreeze the accounts as the matter was before the Supreme Court. The CJP directed the Federal Investigation Agency Director General Bashir Memon to shift Anwar Majid and AG Majid to the hospital when their surgeries are scheduled. The court then ordered that all three be shifted to jail. Anwar Majid and his son Abdul Ghani were arrested by the FIA in August on suspicion of a role in rupees 35 billion money laundering case. Hussain Lawai was arrested in July.
The Supreme Court on Monday reserved judgment on a suo motu hearing regarding dual citizenship among government officials. The Chief Justice also remarked that the government had the authority to formulate policies. Justice Saqib Nisar also remarked that a civil service ban could be consistent with a similar ban on parliamentarians.
A three-member bench consisting of Justice Mian Saqib Nisar, the Chief Justice of Pakistan, and Justices Umar Ata Bandial and Ejazul Hassan heard the case. The Chief Justice remarked that dual citizenship officials could be divided into three categories: those born in foreign countries, those who obtained citizenship before joining the service, and those who acquired another citizenship working for the government. The Chief Justice asked whether all categories should be treated the same. Advocate Shahid Hamid, the amicus curiae, said most people acquired a second citizenship to travel easier. He said security was a concern the court could not ignore. He concluded, however, that it might be best to leave a decision in this regard to the parliament and the government. Justice Bandial remarked that some jobs required loyalty beyond the shadow of a doubt. He said dual nationality for physicians and teachers might not be objectionable. The Chief Justice asked why the rule was not the same for the parliamentarians and civil servants. Justice Nisar said the court will record its concerns on dual citizenship and make some recommendations to the government.
An Islamabad High Court hearing two National Accountability Bureau references against former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif granted him a 3-day exemption from personal appearance on Monday on account of his recent bereavement. Advocate Khwaja Haris Ahmed, the counsel for Nawaz, had moved an application seeking a 5-day exemption from personal appearance in the hearing of Al Azizia and Hill Metal establishment references. The exemption was sought on account of the demise of former First Lady Kulsum Nawaz. Counsel said Nawaz and some personal commitments to attend to. Also, he said the former PM needed some time to recover from his grief. He said the exemption would not affect the hearing schedule. The motion was opposed by the counsel for the NAB. Later, Haris resumed his cross-examination of Wajid Zia. An Islamabad High Court bench on Monday upheld the removal of National Bank of Pakistan President Saeed Ahmed.
The High Court dismissed the former NBP president's petition against his dismissal. The court remarked that once a money laundering reference was filed against him, he should have tendered his resignation. Moreover, the court remarked a declaration favouring Saeed Ahmed would be inappropriate while the money laundering reference against him was being heard. A 5-member Supreme Court bench had ordered the NAB to file a reference against Ishaq Dar.
Talking to Lord Nazir Ahmed on Monday, Azad Jammu and Kashmir President Sardar Masood Khan said India was playing with fire. He counselled India to hold talks with all stakeholders in Kashmir. Lord Nazir Ahmed said on the occasion when the Indian Army chief had created a situation that could lead to a war.
Later, addressing a joint press conference with Lord Nazir Ahmed, Khan said Indian leaders were talking in an aggressive tone, condemning the Indian Army chief's recent statements. The AJK president advised India to choose dialogue over war.
जब टेंशन भी हो, रेप भी हो रहा हो, वो एज अ वॉर वेपन यूज किया जा रहा हो, ह्यूमिलिएशन के लिए किया जा रहा हो, तो वो इंटरनेशनल क्रिमिनल कोर्ट के लिए सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल की जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि वो जो है वो रिफर करे और प्रोसिक्यूटर्स उस पर एक्शन ले.
Lord Nazir Ahmad said Indian forces were committing atrocities in occupied Kashmir. The British MP said Kashmiri women were being raped during such operations. He called upon the United Nations Security Council to take notice of the situation.
आर्मी चीफ ने बयानात दिए हैं, उनकी हम शदीद मजम्मत करते हैं और मैं समझता हूँ कि इंतहाई गैर ज़िम्मेदाराना बयानात हैं और इससे उनका असल सफ़ाकाना चेहरा भी सामने आता है कि एक तरफ वो कश्मीरियों को कत्ल कर रहे हैं, उनको मार रहे हैं और पाकिस्तान के ऊपर इल्ज़ाम धरते हैं.
Khan demanded that 2 black laws imposed in the held Kashmir be revoked. He also called for a committee to investigate human rights abuses in the occupied territory.
More news stories lined up right after a short break.
Stay with us. Thousands of anti-Brexit protesters rallied in Liverpool to call for a second EU referendum as the opposition's Labour Party annual conference convened on Sunday.
The protesters holding flags of the European Union called for Britain's breakup with the EU to be stopped and for second referendum to be conducted. Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn said on the same day that he will support the idea of a second referendum if his party voted for it at this week's annual party conference.
Today we're going to be talking about the EU and Brexit and whether we should have a people's vote. So today the most important issue is the people's vote.
Today we are going to be talking about the EU and Brexit and whether we should have a people's vote. So today the most important issue is the people's vote, said Sayobane MC-Dong, a member of parliament from Labour Party. Britain is due to leave the EU in March 2019, raising extensive concerns on the country's uncertain political and economic future. Many fear that Brexit will hurt the British economy and send Britain's worse off.
Well, I think a lot of people feel like the stuff that they were promised in 2016 when they voted just hasn't happened. So a lot of people voted to leave for legitimate reasons, I think, but what has actually happened is we've seen a government in chaos. So we've seen 13 government resignations, we've seen the government lose 33 seats, we've seen Donald Trump elected, and so there's no trade deal there, there's no money for the NHS, you know, all of these promises that were made just haven't come to pass, and so I think people are starting to think that the reality isn't what they were promised, and especially young people who often never had a say.
I think a lot of people feel like the stuff they were promised in 2016 when they voted just hasn't happened, said Luke Mayer, a protester from Oxford University. A lot of people voted to leave for legitimate reasons, I think. But what has actually happened is we have seen a government in chaos. So we have seen 13 government resignations. We have seen the government lose 33 seats. We have seen Donald Trump elected, and so there's no trade deal there. There's no money for the NHS.
And now about the second Brexit vote. Britain's opposition Labour Party would keep the opinion for a second vote on any Brexit deal struck with the European Union on the table, but it would prefer a national election to sort out the issue, its finance spokesman said on Monday.
Let's have a proper debate and a general election. Then people can choose what team goes forward to negotiate in the future, John McDonnell told the BBC. If we can't get that, yes, we will campaign for a people's vote where people can have their say. But we had much prefer a general election, he said, adding a second vote would be on the deal itself rather than leaving the EU, because the party would respect the outcome of the 2016 referendum.
Let's be clear, we campaigned for Remain, we lost. We lost that referendum, so we respect it. So therefore now the issue is whether or not the government can bring forward a deal that's acceptable. If not, if it isn't, let's have a general election. Because look, I want this government to be held to account for what they've done over the last 2 years, failed to negotiate a deal that protects our jobs and economy. I think put the economy at risk recklessly because of their own infighting. What we want now is a general election. Let's have a proper debate at a general election. Then people can choose what team that goes forward to negotiate in the future. If we can't get that, yes, we will campaign for a people's vote where people can have their say. But we'd much prefer a general election.
Speaking on Monday morning at an alternative Brexit plan news conference held at the right-wing think tank, the Institute of Economic Affairs, former Brexit Minister Davis said that the UK had hit cul-de-sac with negotiations with the EU and once again called for UK Prime Minister Theresa May's so-called Chequers plan to be dropped.
Yes, and we said we'll respect the referendum. We respect that referendum. It was a democratic exercise, they took that decision and we respect it. Therefore, the issue now is what deal the government brings back. Is it acceptable or not? I don't think it will be. That's why I just want a general election. Let the people decide in the general election both the issue about the deal, but then also who will then do the negotiations after that. Because I don't think the government, this Conservative Party is capable of doing negotiations. They've had 2 years. It looks as though they significantly failed.
Former Foreign Minister Boris Johnson agreed with Davis, saying that a Canada-style free trade agreement should be pursued that enables us to do a big free trade deal with European Union, but also to do free trade deals around the world.
Overseas Pakistanis Welfare Council on Monday organized a gathering in London in connection with the Defense of Pakistan Day. Eminent people in the community paid rich tributes to the martyrs of the armed forces of Pakistan. For more on this, have a look at this report made by Ghulam Hussain Awan.
A large number of people of Pakistani origin attended the meeting. They included British MP Raja Muhammad Yassin and several local councillors. Coordination Minister at Pakistan's High Commission, Ghulam Nabi Memon, and Lieutenant General retired Zahir Ahmad Khan were the chief guests on the occasion. Defence Attaché Commander Raja Rab Nawaz, Military Attaché Colonel Nadeem Iqbal, Councillor Sher Abbas, Colonel Jafar Sultan, and Naval Officer Zafar Iqbal represented the armed forces. Overseas Pakistanis Welfare Council Central President Haji Abid Hussain, Chairman Naeem Abbasi Naqshbandi, and Secretary Samina Khan were the hosts. Several speakers and OPWC members announced donations for construction of dams in Pakistan.
A function was organized under the auspices of Proto Blue Islamic Educational Center in Glasgow on Sunday to raise funds for the construction of dams in Pakistan. People belonging to different walks of life attended the function. £50,000 were donated for dams in a short span of time. Our correspondent from Glasgow, Khalid Pervez, reports.
Pakistanis settled in Glasgow are second to none in donating for the dam fund set up by Chief Justice Saqib Nisar and Prime Minister Imran Khan. In this connection, Proto Blue Islamic and Educational Centre's Chaudhry Muhammad Anwar organized a dam fund dinner which was attended by Scottish National Party leader Mia Irshad and people belonging to different walks of life. Speaking on the occasion, the participants said risks of famine in Pakistan were higher if dams were not built. Maulana Abdul Ghafoor, Maulana Atikur Rahman and other local religious scholars appeal to Pakistanis to donate for dams. Chaudhry Muhammad Anwar on the occasion donated £5,000 for the dam. The organizer said they plan to collect £0.5 million from Edinburgh.
Rochdale Council on Sunday organized a function at Town Hall in connection with World Peace Day, which was presided over by Mayor of Rochdale, Councillor Mohammed Zaman. Ehtizaz Asim reports on this.
Mayor of Rochdale, Councillor Mohammed Zaman marked the start of the function by hosting United Nations flag symbolizing peace at Town Hall backyard. Addressing the event, Councillor Mohammed Zaman said the world badly needed peace today. He stressed the need for working for global peace by rising above religious and ethnic differences. Senior administrative officers of the local council attended the function besides a large number of councillors. The speaker said events like these help people belonging to different communities come closer.
दुनिया में अमन हो जाए, ये दुनिया बहुत खूबसूरत होगी, हमारे बच्चे तरक्की करेंगे, ये दुनिया बहुत ज़्यादा तरक्की करेगी, हर कम्युनिटी। तो मेरा पैगाम है मोहब्बत का, एहतराम का, सबकी इज्जत।
आज इंटरनेशनल पीस डे है और हमारे सभी दोस्तों को मुसलमान, जूदी, क्रिश्चियन सभी के लिए ये पीसफुल डे है और रिकॉग्नाइज किया गया रॉचडेल में।
रॉचडेल काउंसिल में जो आज सेलिब्रेट किया जा रहा है इंटरनेशनल पीस डे, ये बहुत बड़ा पैगाम है होल कम्युनिटी के लिए और अमन एक ऐसा हथियार है जो दुनिया में तमाम कम्युनिटी के लिए इत्तेहाद और अमन पैदा कर सकता है।
Just to say that in Rochdale for some years now we've celebrated Peace Day and today is no exception. But it's not just Peace Day today. We need to ensure that peace is in our minds and in our hearts every day of the year.
Following the function, participants walked from Blue Mosque to St. Chart.
More news stories lined up right after a short break.
Stay with us. The Lahore High Court has summoned Nawaz Sharif on October 8th in the high treason case against the deposed Prime Minister. A three-member full bench headed by Justice Mazhar Ali Naqvi was hearing the treason petition against former Prime Ministers Shahid Khaqan Abbasi, Nawaz and journalist Cyril Amida. More in this report.
Abbasi was present in court for the hearing, while Nawaz and Almeida were absent. Defense counsel advocate Nasir Bhutta apprised the court that Nawaz was unable to appear before it as people were frequently visiting him to condole the passing of his wife Begum Kulsoom. He further requested the court to fix the hearing for a date after his wife's death. Accepting to the postponement request, Justice Naqvi fixed the hearing for October 8. He ordered Nawaz to appear before the court in person at the next hearing and issued non-bailable arrest warrants for Almeida.
Security was stepped up around the United Nations on Monday ahead of the world body's general debate, drawing leaders from around the world. Scores of streets were closed off to traffic and people unaffiliated with the meetings. Snipers stood on the rooftop of a UN building as officers from local, state and national outfits stood at attention with long guns. The general debate starts on Tuesday, but high-level meetings, including a call to action on the world drug problem hosted by US President Donald Trump, took place on Monday.
Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said on Monday that Moscow will supply an S-300 surface-to-air missile system to Syria in 2 weeks against strong Israeli objections, a week after Moscow blamed Israel for indirectly causing the downing of a Russian military plane in Syria.
Last week's crash, which killed 15 Russian service members, had forced Moscow to take adequate retaliatory measures to increase the safety of Russian military fighting international terrorism in Syria. Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said in a televised address, a modern S-300 air defense missile system will be transferred to the Syrian armed forces within 2 weeks. He said the system will significantly increase the Syrian army's combat capabilities. Shoigu added, Russia, which fights in Syria to support the government, has said Syria shot the Il-20 surveillance plane down by mistake shortly after Israeli jets hit a nearby target. Russia blamed Israel for creating dangerous conditions that caused the crash. Israel, which has struck Syria scores of times during the 7-year war, said after the incident that it would work to improve deconfliction of its missions with Russian forces, but would not halt them. It has long lobbied Moscow not to provide the S-300 to Syria. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told journalists on a conference call that the decision to supply the weapons was not directed at any third country. Russia needs to increase safety of its military, and it should be clear for everyone, he said.
The Indian Meteorological Department on Monday has issued a yellow alert all over the southern state of Kerala with heavy rains expected over the next 4 days.
Director of Indian Meteorological Department Kerala, Santosh said district authorities were instructed to remain on high alert and take necessary precautionary measures.
अभी पिछले 3 दिनों से बहुत भारी बारिश हिमाचल प्रदेश में हो रही है और उसमें लगभग 10 जिले हमारे प्रभावित हैं, ज़्यादा प्रभावित हैं। और जहां उस दृष्टि से हमने एडवाइजरी पहले ही जारी कर दी थी, 3 दिन पहले ही जारी कर दी थी सभी डिप्टी कमिश्नर्स को कि मौसम विभाग की सूचना के मुताबिक बारिश होने की संभावना है और ज़्यादा बारिश होने की। एक जगह 19 लोग जो है वो उस बाढ़ के कारण फंस गए थे बीच में और वहाँ ऑपरेशन रेस्क्यू जो हमने शुरू किया, लेकिन हिमाचल प्रदेश में जितने भी जो हमारे पास व्यवस्थाएं थे उसके अनुसार जो वहाँ पर वो संभव नहीं हो पाया उनको वहाँ से निकालना पहले। फिर अंत तक तो हमको जो है एनडीआरएफ के साथ जो है वो टेकअप करना पड़ा, उनसे बातचीत की और मुझे इस बात की खुशी है कि तुरंत कार्रवाई हुई।
Torrential rain that began in Kerala on August 8 killed over 300 people, destroyed tens of thousands of homes and washed away roads and bridges, leading to an estimated loss of at least 200 billion rupees.
Maldives President Abdullah Yameen conceded defeat to opposition candidate Ibrahim Mohammed Saleh on Monday in a televised address to the island nation.
Yameen, who was seeking a second term in office, said he has accepted the results and met with Saleh to congratulate him. Yameen had faced criticism for jailing opponents in Maldives, popular with tourists and a key state in the battle for influence between India and China in South Asia. Maldives Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Monday cited provisional figures from the country's election commission showing Saleh winning by a margin of 16.7% over incumbent Yameen in Sunday's election. Voter turnout was 89.2%. The Elections Commission said, adding the official results would be released by September 30.
And now something about animal smuggling. Malaysian customs officials foiled an attempt to smuggle into the country more than 400 exotic animals, including 2 orangutan or crocodiles and rare birds from Indonesia. The animals, which are being transported in a boat from Indonesia, were intercepted in the waters of Perlis near Malaysia's border with Thailand, officials said. 3 Indonesians were arrested in the operation, which also uncovered about 350 sugar gliders in the consignment. Malaysia has been singled out by conservationists as a major transit point for the illegal trafficking of endangered species as well as products made from them.
A cargo train carrying sand and soybean products derailed in Lower, causing a pile-up on the shallow part of the river on Sunday. Union Pacific told local media that the train was en route to Nebraska from Mankato East. 38 out of 95 cars were derailed in this accident. Drone footage shot by a local police showed damage on carriage in Floyd River after the accident. Sioux County Sheriff told writers in a Facebook message that the cause of the derailment is still being investigated. No injuries have been reported. Now talking about cricket, Pakistan Cricket Board's case against the Board of Control for Cricket in India will be heard at the International Cricket Council headquarters in Dubai from October 1 to October 3rd. A three-member committee of the ICC will hear Pakistan's plea for a ₹7 billion penalty against India.
Pakistan and India had signed a memorandum of understanding pertaining to 3 series to be played between India and Pakistan. The series were never played. The PCB has since filed a petition in the ICC Dispute Resolution Committee against India and sought a ₹7 billion penalty. The dispute panel hearing the case will be headed by Michael Belloff QC. The Pakistan Cricket Board will be represented by Khwaja Ahmed Hussain, Advocate Supreme Court of Pakistan, Alexandros Penites of Clifford Chance, London, lawyers from Clifford Chance, London, lawyers from LMA Ibrahim Hussain, Pakistan, and Salman Nasir, the PCB General Manager in charge of legal affairs. The hearing will be private, but the award and the reasons thereof will be made public.
And now something about football. Cristiano Ronaldo, Luka Modric and Mohamed Salah await the announcement for the FIFA Men's Player Award on Monday. Former Real Madrid boss Zinedine Zidane, France coach Didier Deschamps and Croatia's Zlatko Dalic are on the shortlist for Coach of the Year award.
Ronaldo, who has won the award of the last 2 years, helped Real Madrid claim a 3rd consecutive Champions League crown before securing a transfer to Juventus. Midfielder Modric, also part of Madrid's Champions League triumph, finished runner-up with Croatia at the World Cup, winning the Best Player award at the tournament in Russia. Egyptian forward Salah scored 44 goals for Liverpool last season, helping the English club reach the Champions League final, where they were beaten by Real. France's World Cup winning captain Hugo Lloris is in contention for the Goalkeeper of the Year award, alongside Golden Glove winner Thibaut Courtois and Danish shortstopper Kasper Schmeichel. Former Real Madrid boss Zinedine Zidane, France coach Didier Deschamps and Croatia's Zlatko Dalic were on the shortlist for Coach of the Year award. The Women's Player of the Year award will be contested between Olympic Lyonnais' Ada Hedberg and Decipher Merson, who enjoyed an unbeaten league season and lifted the Women's Champions League, and Brazil's triumphant Copa America Feminina captain Marta.
On the other hand, Tiger Woods was moved to the brink of tears after capturing his first title since 2013 with a 2-stroke triumph at the Tour Championship in Atlanta on Sunday. That proved he was far from washed up at the age of 42.
Tossing aside 5 years of career-threatening injury woes, Woods reasserted his status as the best front-runner in the history of the sport, leading throughout the final round and finishing at 11 under par 269 at East Lake, with the massive gallery chanting his name as they stamped the final fairway in scenes reminiscent of British Opens of yesteryear. Woods moved within 2 victories of Sam Snead's all-time record of 82 PGA Tour titles. After carding 71, Woods walked off to a big kiss from girlfriend Erika Herman and a hug from agent Mark Steenberg as security tried to keep the frenzied fans at bay. The victory capped off a season that started with questions over whether Woods, now 10 years removed from his 14th major title, would even be able to play a full schedule after undergoing spinal fusion surgery in April 2017. McIlroy, playing with Woods, quickly dropped out of contention with an error-strewn driving performance that ultimately ended with a 74, leaving world number 1 Rose as the only realistic threat. Woods built a 5-shot lead at the run, and despite bogeys at the 10th, 15th and the 16th holes, held off his fast-finishing compatriot Billy Horschel, who carded a 66 for second place on 9 under. The win preserved Woods' perfect record of never having lost after leading by 3 shots or more going into the final round, a record he extended to 24 for 24. Woods will have little time to celebrate his victory before joining the US team for the Ryder Cup against Europe starting on Friday.
And now the king, Giorgio Armani, returned on Sunday and gave a shape to the color in new collection of celestial-looking design in pastel and silver-colored satins.
Unlike the past, the collection was in the tones of silver, grey, pastels and soft blues, with touches of darker blue and bright pink only here and there on the runway. The designs were clean and light with an elongated, thin and most liquefied silhouette, giving a delicate, almost celestial allure to the models. The show opened with delicate sheer flooring skirts, matched with soft satin jackets and worn with feminine stiletto heel sandals. Satin in trousers, skirts as well as sophisticated jackets rained on the catwalk, giving flat and bouncy flow to the collection, made up of over 60 looks. Models in sophisticated suits wore big shiny earrings, elaborate necklaces and wide-brimmed hats. Very small bags were tied to the wrist, small backpacks slung on the back and PVC shopper bags held in the models' hands. Technical transparent organza was layered on trousers and skirts, adding light as well as movement, and was also worn as long wheel-like caps. Long dresses were embellished with silver sequins and panelled ones, and pantsuits shimmered. Milan Fashion Week ends on Monday with a show by Japanese designer Atsushi Nakashima.
A new trailer has been released for Hollywood film Mary Poppins Returns. Fantasy film will hit cinemas on December 19th. That's all from the news studio. For more details, you can visit our website 92newshd.tv.
Keep watching 92 News HD UK.